Ugh. Hang in there, Ashley. When I played the DVD that I found behind the storage box in the bedroom, was a video of Ashley, a junior colleague at my company, giving birth. A man was encouraging her as she was pushing. I recognized that voice. What is this? I couldn't understand. I knew Ashley was pregnant, but why was my husband, Jason, by her side at her childbirth? The shock was so overwhelming that I couldn't move from the spot for a while. How long had I been standing there? I'm home. Jason's voice came from the entrance, snapping me back to reality. What's wrong? Why are all the lights off? I got carried away with cleaning. I see. Don't overdo it, especially with our wedding tomorrow. Anger bubbled inside me as Jason smiled kindly. Despite his words, he was having an affair with Ashley. Well, I'm going to take a bath. I watched Jason, unaware of everything, head to the bathroom as usual, clenching my fists tightly. I made up my mind about something and, while Jason was in the bath, I contacted friends who were planning to attend our wedding the next day. Then, I slipped the DVD I had found into my bag. At the wedding tomorrow, I was going to bring Jason down to hell. My name is Vanessa Hansen, 29 years old, a housewife with a wedding planned for next month. Jason, my husband, 3 years older than me, and I got married after an office romance. We originally worked in the same department and hit it off while working on the same project, which led to a relationship and eventually marriage. We planned to have a wedding ceremony right after getting married, but it was postponed due to an epidemic, so we haven't had it yet. I had always wanted to wear a wedding dress, but it seemed Jason didn't think the ceremony was that important, and progress on the topic was slow. Jason, conventionally handsome and popular at work due to his savvy, was quite lax and disorganized in his private life. Whenever I brought up the wedding topic, he'd respond nonchalantly, "Oh, right. Let's think about it," and the conversation would drift away. Before I knew it, 2 years had passed, and I was soon to turn 30. I wanted to start trying for a baby, and after discussing it with Jason, I quit my job. Weddings and starting a family aren't things I should be doing alone. Even though it felt that way, the difference in our enthusiasm was hard to bridge. But when we heard my in-laws were excited to see me in a wedding dress, Jason finally started to take action. My parents had died in an accident when I was still a student. My in-laws treated me like their own daughter, and I loved them dearly. They were also looking forward to their first grandchild. I thought revealing my pregnancy on the wedding day would make them even happier. Finally, the wedding date was set, and I became busy with preparations. But Jason was as uncooperative as ever. He was working, and I was a housewife. Of course I understood that I had more time, but I wish he would offer more of his opinions. Jason doesn't seem very enthusiastic about starting a family either. Actually, Jason had been told by the doctor during my bridal checkup that he might have azoospermia. My eggs were numerous and of good quality, but we hadn't conceived despite not using contraception. This led me to suspect that the issue might be with Jason. The doctor had suggested getting a thorough examination at a bigger hospital. But Jason, predictably, mumbled, "Well, maybe sometime," and never followed up on going to the hospital. I wonder if Jason really wants children. I wanted to show my in-laws their grandchild, and I desired to have children. But maybe Jason didn't feel the same. This made it hard to bring up the topic of starting a family, and our time together at night dwindled. In the end, I almost single-handedly finished preparing for the wedding. Even when trying on dresses, he never came to see, and just said, "You're beautiful, so anything will suit you." The wedding planner, trying to be considerate, said, "Maybe he's just shy." Many husbands are like that. But I felt Jason was overdoing his disinterest. As the wedding approached, Jason's business trips and overtime increased in proportion. Despite wanting to discuss more about the ceremony, it was hard to find time with him. Jason said it was a busy period at work, but when I was still employed there, it wasn't particularly busy around this time. Well, internal operations changed day by day, and maybe things changed after I left. I forced myself to accept that reasoning. Time flew by, and tomorrow is finally the wedding day. I had hoped to spend the evening before the wedding talking with Jason, but he had overtime again today. His usual finishing time is 6 p.m., but he said he'd have dinner with colleagues and come home late. Shouldn't colleagues be more considerate the night before a wedding? I felt frustrated but swallowed it and told him, be careful coming home. There wasn't much left to do on the eve of the wedding. I decided to clean, thinking I might as well tidy up areas I usually don't. I entered the bedroom. Cleaning the floor and changing the sheets felt refreshing. I thought about decluttering the closet in the bedroom and opened it. The bedroom closet was shared with my husband, but most of it was filled with Jason's things since my items were mostly in the living room storage. My section was mainly for seldom used formal wear and dresses I wore to friends' weddings. The closet, rarely opened, mostly contained Jason's belongings, just as I remembered. I sorted out my things and separated what I didn't need. In doing so, I found something wedged between the storage boxes in the closet. What's this? I picked it up with my fingertips and pulled it out. A CD? No, a DVD? It was an unmarked DVD. The packaging was clear. It looked like something used to record home videos than a commercial product. Jason doesn't really take photos or videos. Wondering what was on the unmarked DVD, I decided to check its contents and went to the living room where the player was. Let's see. I inserted the DVD into the player and pressed the play button. The image that appeared was a familiar woman. We're going to the delivery room now. I'm a bit nervous. Ashley. The woman on the screen was Ashley Connor, a junior colleague from my time at the company. She was 2 years younger than me and had gone on maternity leave shortly before I quit. We had exchanged contacts when I left, agreeing to go for lunch when things settled down. Ashley, with her large pregnant belly, seemed to be about to give birth considering the background. This was a birth video. Ashley already had her baby, and I heard about it from Jason, who got the news at the company. So, this footage must be a few months old, but I wonder why it's in our bedroom closet. Puzzled, I continued watching the video. It seemed quite long, so I fast-forwarded to see what happened next. Eventually, Ashley, on the delivery bed, reached the moment of childbirth. The person holding the camera, perhaps her husband, captured her, reaching her hand out. In response, the person held her hand back. Huh? I suddenly noticed something and paused the video abruptly. The man's hand holding Ashley's. He was holding the camera with his right hand, so the extended hand was his left. There was a wedding ring and a wristwatch that I recognized. It's the same as Jason's. Could this be a coincidence? Suddenly, my heart pounded painfully. A bad feeling washed over me, and I broke out in a cold sweat. Why was Ashley's birth video in our house? Seeking answers, I pressed play again. Ugh. Hang in there, Ashley. A man's voice encouraged her as she pushed. I knew that voice well. Jason. In the video, Ashley firmly gripped the man's hand. She called him Jason. What is this? I couldn't understand. I knew Ashley was pregnant, but why was my husband, Jason, by her side at her childbirth? Usually, only family members can be that close. Why was Jason attending the delivery of his junior colleague? While I stood there, dumbfounded, Ashley kept pushing, and soon, a baby's cry, wah, was heard. It's a healthy girl. The doctor, lifting the newborn, brought her to the mother, Ashley. Here, Dad, too. Following the doctor's cheerful words, a nurse approached, saying, "I'll take over for you." The screen blurred. He probably handed over the camera. After a while, the camera, now steady again, clearly showed Jason beside Ashley, happily looking at the baby. What does this mean? Was Jason having an affair with Ashley? And they had a child together, and he attended the birth? I was too shocked to move for a while. How long had I been like that? "I'm home." Jason's voice from the entrance snapped me back to reality. The video had automatically stopped. So I hurriedly took out the DVD from the player and tucked it away in my storage space in the living room. "Welcome back." "What's wrong? Why are the lights off?" "I got carried away with cleaning." "I see. Don't overdo it. We have our wedding tomorrow." Anger bubbled inside me as Jason smiled kindly. He said that while having an affair with Ashley. Well, I'm going to take a bath. I watched Jason, oblivious to everything, as he headed to the bathroom as usual, clenching her fists tightly. During Jason's bath, I decided to contact my friends who were scheduled to attend our wedding the next day, and slipped the discovered DVD into my bag. Then came the wedding day. "Vanessa, you look so beautiful." "Mom, you're crying too soon." Seeing me dressed in a wedding gown, tears welled up in my mother-in-law's eyes. She, who cherished me like her own daughter in the absence of my parents. Whenever I faced any trouble, she was always there to offer advice. And my kind father-in-law provided unwavering support. Betraying them felt heartbreaking. But my inability to forgive Jason weighed even heavier on my heart. "Thank you, Mother and Father." Tears welled up in my eyes too. Knowing this peaceful and warm time would end soon, I felt incredibly sad and regretful. Many guests attended the wedding, mostly Jason's relatives and friends. I, having lost my parents, had little connection with my relatives and hadn't invited any family members to the wedding, which now seemed fortunate. I had invited a few friends, but they were not in their seats. I had asked them to do something important. Jason was concerned about the empty bride's friends' seats. So I told him I had a surprise, and he naively said, "What's that?" Sounds intriguing. Unaware of the hell that is awaiting him. At the reception, following the toast, Jason's friends and relatives congratulated them one after another. I responded with a faint smile, and my phone vibrated. My friends were ready. I approached the MC, borrowed the microphone, and announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending our wedding reception today. I have invited a special guest." The room buzzed at my words. "Actually, my friends have gone to welcome this special guest. Please, look at the entrance." As I pointed to the entrance, all eyes, including Jason's, turned there. Slowly, the door opened. There stood Ashley, brought by my friends. "What?" Jason stood up abruptly, looking shocked. Ashley was holding her baby, now a bit bigger than in the video. The guests, thinking the surprise guest might be a celebrity, were wrapped in confusion, asking, "Who is that?" Only Jason stared at Ashley in confusion, while Ashley looked uncomfortable. "Now that our special guest has arrived, I have something I'd like everyone to see." I took out the DVD from my bag and handed it to the staff, asking them to play it. The staff lowered the projector screen and began projecting the video. "We're going to the delivery room." I'm a bit nervous. "What the?" Jason seemed to realize everything as the video started. However, I held the remote to stop the video. The video continued, showing Ashley in the delivery room. "Ugh. Hang in there, Ashley." Jason. The video showed the successful birth, and the camera being passed to a nurse. Ashley and Jason side by side in the center of the screen caused a stir in the room. "What is this?" Jason. What is this? My mother-in-law was pale-faced, and father-in-law was furious. Jason, looking ready to be attacked by his father, muttered weakly, "Why? I found it in our bedroom yesterday." Can you understand how I felt, finding this on the eve of our wedding? Even so, you didn't have to show it at a celebration like this. A celebration? How can I celebrate anything after such a terrible betrayal? As I shouted, Jason bit his lip hard. By the way, one of my friends over there is a lawyer. What? What? The friend who brought Ashley was a practicing lawyer. I had contacted this lawyer friend immediately after finding the DVD. I was advised to keep the DVD as it would serve as solid evidence. When I revealed my intention to expose the misconduct of Jason and Ashley at the reception, I was assured of full support and cooperation. This DVD will be kept as important evidence. Ms. Ashley Connor, the child in this video, the baby girl you are holding now, is the same, correct? Upon the lawyer's question, Ashley seemed to search for an excuse, but eventually bowed her head and replied in a small voice, "Yes. To think you had an affair and even got her pregnant. We never raised you to be such a disgraceful person." My distraught father-in-law and crying mother-in-law were comforted by the relatives rushing to their side. As everyone's attention turned to him, Jason was taken aback. I then delivered the final blow by presenting him with divorce papers. "I want a divorce." "Wait, let's talk this through. There's nothing left to discuss with you. You and Ashley will pay a significant amount in damages, and you will bear all the expenses of this ruined wedding." "How can I? Do you know how much this wedding costs? It's only fair since you ruined it." After shouting this, Jason had nothing more to say. Ashley was hugging her baby and crying, though the child was innocent, but the affair was unforgivable. "We will proceed with the rest through the lawyer." Leaving those words behind, I left the venue with my friends. Later, I received a call from my in-laws. They said I might not want to see them, but I loved them and agreed to meet, provided Jason was not present. "Vanessa, I'm so sorry." Upon seeing me, my mother-in-law burst into tears. I shook my head vigorously and embraced her. "This is an issue between me and Jason. Neither of you did anything wrong. More importantly, I will never forget how kindly you treated me like your own daughter." I firmly conveyed this while looking into their eyes. I wanted to clear any misunderstanding. This was an undeniable truth. "Thank you, Vanessa. We were truly happy to have you as our daughter-in-law." My father-in-law patted my shoulder and then told me what happened after I left the wedding. "We've decided to disown Jason, given the shame he brought in front of the relatives. He understands he no longer has a place in our family." "I see." I felt no pity. How could he do such a thing, despite being raised by such wonderful parents? "There's something we'd like to ask. This is just our wish, so feel free to prioritize your feelings." "What is it?" "Would you consider living with us?" Surprised by his words, my eyes widened. Then my mother-in-law added, smiling, "Only if you want to, Vanessa. We want to leave our inheritance to you, Vanessa. We'd like to become a real family with you, if possible." "But I ruined the wedding you were both looking forward to." "That's all right. You did what you had to do." My eyes burned with tears at their kindness. I promised to contact them as soon as everything was settled and parted that day. For my in-laws' sake, I needed to resolve things with Jason quickly. Once again, I formally asked my lawyer friend to mediate my interactions with Jason. My friend, an excellent lawyer, promptly started the necessary procedures. A few days later, I heard from her that Jason was eager to meet me. I had no intention of meeting him, but he seemed insistent. When I showed reluctance, my lawyer friend commented, "It seems there's some trouble on their end too." Their end referred to Jason and Ashley. I had assumed that Jason, once divorced from me, would remarry Ashley. However, it appeared there were reasons why that couldn't happen. Determined, I decided to meet Jason, with my lawyer present. A few days later, in the reception room of my friend's office, I met Jason for the first time since our wedding. Jason had become noticeably haggard in just a few weeks. Vanessa, it's been a while. What do you want to talk about? I urged Jason to get to the point. Jason hesitated at first, then slowly started to speak. Actually, a shocking truth came to light after that day. A shocking truth? Could there be anything more shocking than what I had experienced? As I frowned at Jason, who seemed to be playing the victim, he showed me a piece of paper. Look at this. What's this? It's the results of a DNA test. What? It was the result of a DNA test for the child of Jason and Ashley. The shocking truth he referred to must be this. The report stated there was a 0% probability of a parent-child relationship. That child isn't mine. I was deceived by her too. Jason slammed his hand on the desk in frustration. Then who is the father of the child? It's just Ashley's husband. Jason's words made me feel dizzy. That's right. I had been so preoccupied with my own situation that I hadn't considered Ashley was married. This meant that both Jason and Ashley had been having an affair. She told me her marriage was already over. So what? That doesn't change the fact that Ashley was married. I was exasperated by Jason, who cheated on me and now blamed Ashley. I had suspected that Ashley's baby might not be Jason's. After all, Jason was suspected of being azoospermic. It was unlikely for his affair partner to conveniently become pregnant. She used me for child support, living luxuriously on that money. Can you believe it? And after I got sued by you. Her husband found out about the affair and divorced her. She tried to use me again, saying I was the only one for her. I get the story. So, we're already divorced, Jason. Your story has nothing to do with me, right? I cut him off sharply, and Jason made a helpless face. Then, he gently grasped my hand. Vanessa, can we start over? You're the only one for me. With tears in his eyes, Jason made his plea. I smiled, and Jason sighed in relief, thinking I agreed. As if I would ever start over with you. Eh? I briskly brushed off Jason's relaxed hand. He looked at me in surprise. Just shut up and listen for once. You only say what's convenient for you. There's no way that would work. You're playing the victim, but to me, you and Ashley are just as bad. I never want to see you again. After my outburst, the meeting ended. I decided to leave everything else to my lawyer friend. My complete rejection left Jason disheartened, and afterwards, he stopped expressing any desire to meet me, and quietly agreed to the compensation I had proposed. Ashley and her husband also divorced, and naturally, her husband sued both Jason and Ashley. Consequently, both Jason and Ashley ended up having to pay damages to both her husband and me. Since Jason and Ashley worked at the same company, and many of Jason's colleagues attended the wedding, the rumor quickly spread within the company, leaving Jason without a place there. However, he couldn't rely on his parents anymore and had to pay compensation. So quitting his job wasn't an option. And he continued to work despite being caught in a difficult situation. As for me, the generous compensation I received allowed me the luxury of taking my time to consider reemployment. Furthermore, my in-laws, who treated me like their own daughter, used nearly all of their assets to buy a luxury apartment for me. They said it was my inheritance, but the large apartment felt lonely to live in alone. So I asked them to live with me, and we became housemates. While I still feel regret and bitterness about being deceived and betrayed by Jason, living peacefully with my kind and loving in-laws, I feel truly happy from the bottom of my heart.